Welcome, everyone. My name is Barrington, and I'm the festival manager here for Out on Film. I have the wonderful subjects of that lovely documentary you just watched here with us today. I will go ahead and let them introduce themselves. Malik, I'm going to pass it right off to you first.
Hello, my name is Malik Julian. I am the director and producer of Ain't They Were Loved. Zion.
Hi, I'm Zion. I was one of the subjects. Yeah. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marcus. I'm one of the subjects of the film as well.
Hey everyone, my name is Hakundo. I use he, they pronouns, and I'm one of the subjects as well.
Thank you. So I guess my first kind of go-to for this film was just wow. Malik, I thought you did just a wonderful job of kind of expanding on kind of queer sanctuary. There was elements to this documentary that while it was touching on just subjects that range so much between each of you, you still found time to create elements of dream, passion, vibrantness, using dark elements. Talk about just a little bit of just coming together with this piece, how it was to kind of showcase these subjects and each of them, maybe what they brought to that. And that's maybe where I want to start off with.
Yeah, I think it really started off with a personal connection with each of them as individuals. I knew coming into it that while this was a film, this was just like a piece of art that I needed to see for myself, for my spirit, growing into my queerness. And I knew that I wasn't alone in my feeling of needing the sanctuary to express myself, to have a community of people where I can relate to and build community and have a family even. And it was in finding these three incredible individuals and souls who were so generous to just tell their story, and finding them, I just intuitively and naturally just gravitated to them as people first, like regardless of like the director producer role. Like I wanted to be their friend. I wanted to get to know them of like who they are first, and it was their stories that inspired me. And so I think just their personal connection, that personal relationship, um initially brought life to like what I wanted to show on screen.
No, I thank you so much. I'm glad you said family because I like as we just jumped into the Zoom call, I know Wakundo and Zion, they like instantly, hey, like there's just energy and just love kind of instantly there, which is so great to see. As far as some of the subjects, seeing yourself on the camera on screen, tell me what it was like, what that process was like for you to bring yourself kind of wholeheartedly to the centerpiece of this documentary. I guess I can start it off with Marcus.
Hello. For me, like the process of filming was lovely. Just to be able to kind of like tell your story, and then looking back, the moment that it really clicked for me that like we filmed like an impactful thing was me hearing me say like I was 19 in the film and I'm 23 now. So just seeing my growth as an individual from the film and who I am now as a person was really impactful. And just being able to kind of like replay all of like the memories I had growing up and being able to put that emotion into the film and being able to tell my story was really lovely to kind of at the same time, I don't want to say overcome a lot of things, but have the time again to process them now as a 19-year-old and then to process them again now as a 23-year-old was just incredible to see like the growth of my individual self.
Copy that. And then Wakunda, if you wanted to take over.
Yeah, so I mean, just to kind of piggyback off of what Marcus said, I mean, the difference of like when we started filming to now, I mean, we went through a pandemic, like there's a lot of things that we had to endure, like as a society, but also in our personal lives. I think all of us have grown so much. I know, like for myself, seeing rewatching the film and seeing how much that I've grown, I'm like, it's kind of a surreal experience to kind of see yourself, kind of like where you were and where you are now. I've advanced so much professionally, personally, and academically. Um, it's a really beautiful thing to see. Also, it's a little bit triggering when you kind of like look back and think back about like where you were at that time, what you were going through, what you were having to navigate. And so for me, it was also a little bit triggering. It brought back a lot of emotions. I've had a lot of conversations with Malik about the film because I totally forgot about the film because we really hadn't heard anything about it because of like the pandemic and everything. And so as like life starts kicking back up, and when I got that initial email from Malik, all of these emotions just started like flooding back to me about kind of like where I was at that time and where I am now, and the difference of values also that I have as an individual versus back then and now. So yeah, a lot of emotions for sure.
No, a lot of love as well. Zion, did you want to jump in and maybe piggyback off of that as well?
Yeah, same. I just kind of going along with what both Kun and Marcus said. Just watching the film just makes me think about how far I've come since then, how much I've grown. Filming it, honestly, it was like fun, even though sometimes I was like definitely going through it. But then watching it for the first time in Austin when they premiered at another festival, of course there was definitely like, you know, waterworks. And like Akuna was saying, it was like triggering to some extent because it's just like, you know, there's so much that, you know, we've gone through that, you know, you kind of forget about sometimes, but it's all like part of your journey to like get to where you are now. And then watching it back or just hearing back, like, I don't know, some of the things that I went through, it's like, damn, like, it's both like, it brings up the pain of that time, but then it's also like, wow, like, I really, like, you know, I was going through it back then, but like, I've just come so much far now and I'm doing better now. And so it's just, definitely, yeah, just a big, like, I don't know, a moment of like, wow, I've just grown so much since then.
No, thank you so much. Like you said, I think it was very cool to, I guess, one, see yourself and being that, like you said, it played in Austin. So I know, imagine seeing kind of your friends and support system there for you was probably a great thing. Zion, for your story personally, I connected a lot with I'm from the US Virgin Islands. So I know there's a big cultural kind of shock and difference here. Can you talk about what it's like being in Austin and just the queer atmosphere and what it's been like to find that sanctuary, and maybe just a little bit about any support systems that might have been are currently there as well for you.
But yeah, so definitely the support system keeping me afloat in Austin's all the friends and family, you know, chosen family that I made here. Without them, I definitely would not have been able to make it to like, you know, just even to like today. It was funny like watching back some of the scenes where like I was at like an apartment or something. It was one of my friends, good friends, Brandy's place. Like there was like two different scenes or something. Like I was at her place and like there was one summer like during the pandemic, like I stayed at her place for a while and she's just always been like a place of sanctuary kind of for me. You know, we're still like this, we're, you know, still really good friends. Um and especially just with everything that's like happened with my family, without them, like I don't know, I just definitely would not have been able to like, you know, just make it to today. And so always forever grateful for, you know, all my good friends and family. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then I had another question. Maybe I'm going to throw this to Malik. Malik, as far as some of the response that you've gotten from the film, what has the LGBTQs like community and just what has it been like for folks to see their community, queer community in Austin kind of reflected on screen?
It's surreal at times because the film it was basically a 4-year long process from the cradle to where it is now. And it's still evolving and it's still not in a perfect form. You know, I think it still has room to grow. But in the state that it is now and the response that I've gotten here in Austin, it has been like an outpour of love and appreciation. And I do feel that people are truly seeing themselves and it's helping them reflect on their lives personally. You know, I think every person that has came to me like one-on-one has specifically named Hakundo, specifically named Zion, specifically named Marcus, of like hearing them tell their stories helped me process this in this way. And you know, and it's just been so much of unfolding of self. People are I don't know, there's like a very personal like thing that happens after people like see the film and when we have conversations about it after. Especially like in Austin and people are just really proud that I think a movie was filmed in Austin and it came to life and it's like getting into festivals. Like people are into it in that way too, like the entertainment part of it. So it's been like all the great awesome things that I could think of.
Thank you so much. I guess another question I would have, just reflecting, and I think Akunda, you mentioned it during, I think, just this question now, but just reflecting on the film and just how passionate it is. One of the notes I have, one of my tender parts of the film was when you kind of mentioned yourself as a phoenix. That was like a big highlight for that, because just talking about just starting over, just like being born again, kind of reflecting on that as a period and coming out of it. I wanted to ask, of course, I know you had mentioned and gave a lot of praises to some of the organizations and some of the resources that helped you and provided you comfort and love where you needed it. I guess kind of expanding on that, what is that atmosphere like? What is next for you, and what is next in your activism and flight into I think of obviously HIV and AIDS stigma, destigmatization, and further education of it. But of course, I'll let you talk and not try to feed you as much, but feel free to just jump into all that good stuff that you're doing and working on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that question. I'm still very heavily involved in the HIV community. I live in Washington now, and I work in the HIV community here. I do a lot of consulting work in Texas, in DC, doing like HIV work. I think it's really important for me. I think HIV was really like where I started to build community. I feel like before I got diagnosed with HIV, I was kind of like scrambling around, still trying to figure out like where I fit in. And whenever I was diagnosed with HIV, I was really able to find my chosen family, really be able to build a community for me of like support and love. Piggybacking off of what Zion said, like the chosen family for us is like queer BIPOC folk is extremely important, especially in the South where we come from very machista and religious like families, right? I come from a very predominantly white conservative area. Not a lot of people look like me. And until I was diagnosed with HIV and being able to kind of immerse myself in a community that was full of love and support, I was just bouncing around, still trying to figure out who I was and where I wanted to go. I said this so many times, and a lot of people look at me funny when I say it, but like HIV for me was a blessing in disguise because I was participating in a lot of behaviors that could have been very detrimental to my life. But once I was diagnosed, I was able really to like kind of take a step back and be introspective and really ask myself, where do I want to go? Like, what do I want to do? Like, what's next from here, right? Because it's a life-changing diagnosis. And I decided that I wanted to pursue like HIV, public health. And so that's kind of where I am now. Where I am now in terms of like HIV, I know that I want it as a secondary career, not as a primary career. I think like over my time as like a young queer BIPOC individual, navigating HIV, especially in San Antonio, was extremely difficult because I feel like I always had to really fight for my place at the table. There was a lot of ageism. I also worked with a lot of white people. There were also a lot of really great people in the community, but I think for me, it created a lot of burnout for me. And I think that that's true for a lot of people that work in the field. A lot of young people that I've worked with have always talked about how it's really difficult for them to utilize their voice or find a seat at the table where they're truly accepted and not tokenized. I think that's something that we run in quite often, is being tokenized. Because like you're young, you're black or brown, right? Like you have a voice, you're intelligent, all of these things. And they put you on, but they put you on only to a certain extent, and then they no longer allow you to like use your voice beyond the extent that they want you. And so then that kind of contributes to the burnout and becomes very problematic, and perpetuates that performative allyship or performative equity, right? And so I think for me, understanding right now, I'm getting my master's and I'm pivoting over to health policy, and then consulting work is going to be primarily for me in HIV. Because it's still something that's near and dear to my heart. And as I've gotten older, I want to be able to create platforms for younger people to experience less burnout. And also, like, I think another thing that kind of reminded me of part of the film, I think that a lot of us forget, especially as like brown and black folk, is that storytelling is really important in our communities. It's what fosters community, it's what cultivates relationships. And I've been hearing about that a lot in the last few years, especially at conferences, like storytelling, the power of storytelling. And that's like ultimately what I want to do, right? Is utilize my story to help empower other young black and brown folk to utilize their voices and create community and to advocate for themselves, most importantly, because the way that society is today, everything that we're seeing is crazy out here. And we have to really stick together. And so for me, health policy is like where I want to be at, because I feel like that's where I can make the most effective and efficient change. And then HIV as like a secondary career, because it's still a passion, but it's not something that I want to. I feel like when we get burnt out, we start to distance ourselves and we start to build resentment. And that's what I felt around the HIV community. And I no longer want to, I don't want to feel that way anymore. And so that's kind of like what I'm doing to pivot, to alleviate some of that stress and burnout that I'm feeling. But yeah.
Thank you so much. One, for I think everything that you're doing, continuing to do, and just being able to share your story publicly and be that space and be that kind of centerfold. I think it was a very touching part for me personally, as we try to destigmatize and try to really educate. I think you mentioned just, yeah, how important care is. I think care is like a vital part of that initial contact, as well as when you think about just the South and how marginally generalized Black and brown people are affected. So yeah, that was well said, and thank you again. Marcus, I have a question for you. I wanted to just ask about maybe the ballroom scene at the moment. Are you all still performing? I also wanted to just acknowledge and say one thing that really stood out to me in the documentary as well was just how you provided kind of a hub, and I think you mentioned as well, just chosen family, and how what the house is looking like, who is going where, and what any details you might want to touch on that.
So yeah, I'm still pretty active in the ballroom scene. More in the Kiki scene, because that's taken a huge stride within the Texas culture. In ballroom, a little slow, but still getting my feet wet. But as of right now, within the scene, I talked about like having my own like family and building like a safe space for them. And like over the past year, I did acquire my first gay child. So that's still like in a great process, just be able to pour into him and seeing his growth. But yeah, the scene's still lovely. You, with everything, you kind of have to find like your own chosen people that can pour into you and you can pour into them as well. But overall, everything's still been pretty lovely, and it's just nice to still be able to, like, for example, look back and just see like, oh, like a couple years ago I said I wanted a gay child, and now I have one, and just building on that repertoire of just like staying true to what I want to do and who I want to become as an individual has just been very lovely. And the scene still nice, still voguing, still walking my categories, still working on what I want to picture myself as like when I get older, like, oh, I did this and X, Y, and Z within the scene, and this is the legacy I'm leaving behind that I want other people to possibly be able to follow or to take it and create their own.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Malik, I think I have just one more question, just as far as what's next. And maybe this is a question for everyone. If you just want to talk briefly about what's next, what we can expect, to give any shout outs you might want to for folks watching at home. Yeah, I'm gonna start it off with Malik and then Zion and so on. You're on mute if you're.
As far as what's next, right now, I actually just wrapped production for another short documentary film. It's really exciting. It centers around Black women, who are living with HIV possible. It's a beautiful. I'm extremely blessed, and I'm still like on cloud nine that I had the opportunity to even have my hands on a project like this, because Black women are our probably the most sacred people on this earth. And so I'm excited to go into that and really handle it with care and like set an example in just the history of cinema, because it's important that we deeply value and unlearn unhealthy things that we've indoctrinated ourselves with when it comes to like Black women and who they are in the world and our lives personally. And yeah, I'm a filmmaker, and I'm happy to claim that. Plan to go to grad school and business school. Hopefully NYU. Yeah, I'm also a community organizer. I work at a nonprofit, Texas Health Action. Yeah, I'm just out here in the community, wanting to be a storyteller and being ferocious about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Zion, did you want to?
Yeah, so what's next for me? I'm actually back in school again at UT, on again, off again. I'm actually also back on a pre-med path, well, really pre-PA. And so the goal is to finish that, go to PA school. I want to specialize in trans healthcare, something definitely think that is needed. And kind of like Kakuno mentions in the film, it was talking about like care, like, your first like appointment or something like that, your gender health or HRT like consultation. It makes a big difference if it's someone that like represents you. And I've had a couple interactions where I've been blessed to like have that. And so I would just love to be that for other people. And so still have an artistic side that I need to nurture, but we'll get to that at some point. But yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it from right now.
And Akunda, if you wanted to go next.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, next steps are finishing grad school. I want to pivot over to health policy. And that's really it. I mean, right now I'm looking at like building grounding roots somewhere. I'm thinking about moving back to Texas. All of my like really close friends live there, my chosen family, and it just makes sense. I did want to say something outside of kind of like where I am and where I'm going as a person living with HIV who is undetectable and who has the privilege of being undetectable. I wanted to just say that viral load does not equal value. I think like in especially recent years, I've been seeing this really big push for people to be virally suppressed and reach an undetectable viral load. And we put so much value on that. And I think like when you look at an HIV diagnosis from an equity lens, you need to make sure that you're holding space for the other social determinants of why people are not able to reach an undetectable viral load. And so for the people out there who are living with HIV that for whatever reason cannot reach an undetectable viral load, I want you to remember that viral load does not equal value. And us as public health professionals are here to meet you where you are. And don't feel pressure to be undetectable or for that to be your main goal. Especially for people who are displaced or for sex workers, right? Like we're here to meet you where you are, and whatever you need, we're here to provide. But I want to emphasize that pushing an undetectable viral load onto people is really harmful in a lot of ways. And it's not an equitable way to look at an HIV diagnosis. So I just wanted to like say that really quickly, because I don't think I haven't had a space where I could talk about that a lot. And I actually attended a conference in DC a few weeks ago where I was able to talk to a bunch of youth and explain that to them. And it's just really important, right? It goes further into the destigmatization of HIV, not only for people who are living with HIV, for people who are not living with HIV. So yeah, just wanted to add that tidbit.
Thank you for the gems. The gems are continuing to flow out. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Marcus, as well, any last touches, updates, farewells, love?
So as of right now, I recently graduated from UT in May of 2023 and moved back to Houston. So right now, I'm currently just soaking up a lot of family love and self-love right now, trying to build better habits for myself. And right now, as well, currently looking for a job. So that's like in the works as well. But in the meantime, pursuing possibly going to grad school in the future, if that currently lays out for myself as well.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Akunda, I just want to also ask, are there any organizations, any folks in relation to Austin who might be able to tap in any highly recommended facilities and treatments in primary care that you might want to shout out right now? While you had me on the cusp of it, I was like, please just give the folks anything else they might need, because I do, it's so valuable. It's invaluable, just this conversation, just that access, just that knowledge, and just moving away from what we are constantly being heard. You know, no one's talking about these types of conversations. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think some great resources in Austin and San Antonio. The Kind Clinic, for those who are looking for HIV care, gender affirming care. Malik actually works at the Kind Clinic. So I worked at the Kind Clinic also for a quick minute. And so for people who are looking for gender affirming care, definitely reach out to Kind Clinic, HIV care, HIV testing, Kind Clinic. Out Youth is also a really great resource for youth who are looking for gender affirming care, but also who are looking for mental health resources. That's a really great resource. In San Antonio, Alamo Area Resource Center, B-AIDS, San Antonio AIDS Foundation, those are all really great resources that I had the pleasure of working with while I was in San Antonio. There's also a Kind Clinic in San Antonio now. Another great resource is Ashwell Clinic that's in Austin, and I think they will be expanding to San Antonio as well. So a bunch of great resources, but definitely I always recommend the Kind Clinic. All of their patient advocates are amazing. So you get that one-on-one with the provider, but now you also have like an advocate that you can work with that'll handle all of the bigger things for you, your medication, any other resources or referrals that you may need. So yeah, definitely recommend all of those resources for sure.
Just more gems, people. Y'all heard that.
I just wanted to add one little tidbit. Actually, I like, now that Ukun mentioned it, Out Youth, yeah, definitely great resource and stuff like that. They actually helped me with like getting all my documents and stuff like all changed over. I guess I didn't really mention it in this interview. Like I talked about it in the doc, but you know, I've been transitioning. I'm a doll, femme queen, all that stuff like that. And so Out Youth, like, I don't know, they just helped like make the process so easy, so simple and stuff like that. And so yeah, just definitely another great resource along with Kind Clinic and Asheville and stuff like that in Austin.
No, thank you so much. Thank you all so much again. This is just Amy, feel free to watch this video, share this video, vote on this film at the very end. This film is in competition with the rest of our films in the festival, so it's up for audience awards and etc. Yeah, and we are streaming nationally, so feel free to share this film with your friends and folks all over Austin, Texas, and anywhere and everywhere. Thank you all so much for being here with me and sharing this space. Out on Film is celebrating 36 years, and it's not without these amazing storytellers and the amazing narratives that you all provided. So I thank you all so much. And yeah, cheers.